Hi guys. All right. So I just briefly wanted to come on and kind of talk to you guys about non-duality and the importance of it, and talk to you about a few things that I've realized have hurt more than they have helped, and I really want to kind of help change the trajectory. And I'll be the first to admit that I was wrong, and that I should have paid more attention to the type of course and the things that I was promoting. But let me kind of come in and say this. All right, you guys. There are ways to manifest, and the quickest, fastest way to do so is to use universal truths. Like, that's the quickest way because that's what's always true. You see, when you guys are in 3D, we are told very specifically that it is an illusion. So the illusion is because you're judging a moment and you get to be correct, right? But what looks confusing is the moment already existed before you got there. That's because it was always there, but you were there to correct your thinking, right? So it looks as if the thoughts were there before you got there. And if you take the very next moment and judge against yourself, you've just created another void or another illusion. And so it's in those moments when you have to realize that you have to stop the trajectory, okay? Secondly, yes, it's important to tell our story. Yes, it's important to share it so that people can see where you've come from and where, where you've had the growth and that kind of thing. But you don't want to reinfect people with your story. Meaning, if you force people to read your life story and it's all about this painful, crazy, harsh life, and people read it, they just made that their story. It's not a good idea. You've just reinfected yourself. So these are things that we have to stop and realize that if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Don't. You don't want to reinfect yourself, okay? And then lastly, let's talk affirmations. Good ones and not so good ones, all right? So good ones are universal truths. For example, if you are looking to be one with your love, you want to say something like, you are one with God, therefore one with your undivided love. You see, this is always true, okay? But if you use an affirmation like, he loves me, or she loves me, or he would die if I'm not around, you don't want to do that, okay? All of the 3D videos that talk about let's get our ex back, or let's do this and let's do that, and they deal with an outside source, this is counterproductive. What you don't want to do is you don't want to be in a situation where you're you're going all around the lake upstream just to get back to the same point of origin. So you do want to get real clear about what you want. You want to be definite about your state, but you don't want to start affirming things against you, because what you're going to do is you're going to create an entity outside of you and you're going to feel helpless because it's not made in your image. Not exactly. It's very, very counterproductive. It feels impossible. It's not worth it. Because the bottom line, you guys, is that the universal truths are what govern the universe and are your natural state. So the sooner you use your vessel and your words to embody those things, you're better off than you would be if you start affirming something outside of you. You see what I'm saying? Because even your abundance, your relationship, your energy, everything is something inside of you. So when you start creating that thing out there, you are giving it life, but you're gonna, there's that whole conflict of interest when you're waiting for this person to show up for you the way you want them to, because you put the power outside of you. Do you understand that? So I can't emphasize that enough, you guys. I know I talk about the difference between 3D coaches and 5D coaches, and they're all important, and I get it, but there are easier ways to create. And so when you start affirming things that are outside of you, you're actually making your life harder. You're actually doing exactly what the Greek myth of Narcissus Remember when he did that? He fell in love with his reflection. He couldn't tear himself away from his reflection. The reflection was everything, and he never understood that he was the source of everything that he saw. Okay? And that's the most important switch. That's the switch that turns everything on, that turns on that magnetic force, that makes it so that people are like little kites, that it just swirling in the vortex. They're all coming towards you. You see, you don't want to make this harder on yourself. You don't want to create things outside of you that way. You want to emphasize what's inside of you so your heart can pick up the vibration. Then your voice and your heart work as one thing, and your vessel then projects exactly what you want in the moment. And it's that powerful, and it's that instant, and you're doing it anyway. You're either for or against yourself. Now, remember, when I say yourself, it's not just you, but your reflection, because I want you guys to understand the power of non-duality, the power of understanding that you are one thing and your thoughts are your feedback. And so in relationships, or when it comes to money, career, jobs, or anything that has to do with the shadow world, you must understand your relationship to it at first so that you can work with it. Remember, you have to be the potter that creates the clay, not the clay doesn't have to tell the potter what it is. And I realize that we have done this forever, and this is going to be a habit that we're forming. It's a muscle that we're building. It's a different way of living. It's reversing your thoughts. You know, I am guilty of thinking in reverse. I actually will admit that because I see through the mirror, I am not good seeing my left and my right. I don't see things like you guys see things at all. I self-admit that. It's almost kind of like being dyslexic, slightly. For me, it's never something I picked up on. It's just who I am. I'm so, like, I don't even fold clothes the right way. There's just like, you know, if there's this precise way to do it, I guarantee you it'll be impossible for me, okay? But that's because I perceive things from the other side of the mirror. I understand the mirror as it is in the moment, and that's what I'm asking you guys to do. You cannot separate little aspects of yourself. Usually when you're going after a relationship, the first thing you say is, yeah, I get how he and I are the same, but the rest of the world is not. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. It really doesn't. See, because there's a whole universe between two souls, the appearance of one. Okay? And the only way to bridge that gap is to be non-dual. The only way to bridge that gap is to recognize your thoughts are on display, pretending to be other people, places, and things at all times. Are you thinking them in the moment, or have you thought about them in the past or the future? Didn't you understand that all time is now? So it doesn't matter when you thought something. It doesn't matter if you thought something when you were 5 years old, and that is the person that is appearing outside of you asking to be redeemed. You still need to redeem it, because you're being asked to love yourself. The God design is more about loving yourself, your whole self. That's what brings you the love of your life. That's what brings you the abundance of your life. That's what brings everything to you. Like, you just literally show up, and life is good. It's in a flow state. But you have to, at all times, recognize yourself in the moment and be at peace with that. This is a call to love. It's called an action. It's every person. You can't reject this person. You just simply have to understand that even if they don't appear to look like anything you would say or do or think, that it used to be how you say or do or think. Or maybe, just maybe, it's some TV program that you watched when you were 20. And that thought was inserted into your head, and then since your mind makes everything outside, when you put that in your head, you created dozens of little drug addicts, dozens of little homeless people, whatever's on TV, whatever needs to be part of that, you created those. Take responsibility for that and see them better, because it's your body. It's your body. See, this is the source body, okay? The one that you're using is your source body. In everything outside of you, your reflection. And if you have trouble owning it, that's okay. It's okay. Right? You don't have to know how it's you. You just have to accept it as you and then add value to how you see them. Catch yourself in that minute before you say, oh, this person doesn't behave this way or that way, or this person lacks that, or this person lacks this and that. You see, because every time that we do this as an individual, we are literally stealing from our body. We're putting a shadow over our heart's light, and that you continue to add the shadow. The more you reject things outside, the more the shadow gets, sort of bigger, and you reject more things and the shadow gets bigger. And so then you get so far from your light of understanding that life has now become a struggle against yourself because of all the times that we have rejected what is outside of us as not us. And that's not loving yourself, is it? Now remember, there's an order of operations. You love yourself first. You love yourself with all your might. You give yourself everything. You don't compromise. You get clear about what you want. You know what your boundaries are, whatever the case may be, right? And then anybody who wishes to be with you must abide by those things, and you see them better, and you're kind and you're loving, but it's always an exercise and a call to love. It's never not a call to love. So I want to reiterate that simply because you guys, right now, you are all wanting or seeking these things, and it would be a lot easier if you stop rejecting those aspects of yourself. You see, every time you do that, so it's kind of like this infinite loop, okay? And you're literally in the middle of an infinity symbol, okay? You think something, it goes out into the universal projection, which is your 3D box, okay? And then the 3D box then becomes all of those things in varying degrees, closest and furthest from your light, but they all exist at once, all right? And then you get to be on the receiving end of how you judge that. So this infinite loop just continues to go back and forth, with you in the middle as the constant, receiving what you've put out, receiving what you've said, back and forth. But the balance is the middle way. The balance is in knowing that you are the source of everything. The balance is in loving every aspect of yourself. The balance is in being okay with who you are and making no excuses for it. The balance is in being kind, being loving, being anything that you can do to serve. Because you see, the way of Christ, my way, the way my father and my mother energy made me, is one of service. It's one of service. That's what I do. That's what I do. I serve the collective, and I'm helping you all bridge the gap between what seems like it's outside of you and bringing it back in. I want you guys to learn how to use your vortex properly. I want you to understand that everything that you say in the moment is just a feedback loop. So yes, when you guys see numbers and signs and this and that, they are actually confirming your state. It's speaking to you because it's you. When people say, oh, the universe doesn't mean anything and there are no signs, they don't know who they are. That's a 3D thought, a totally incorrect way of thinking. Since the universe is you, of course it's speaking to you. It's speaking to you all the time. It's hiding little characters, little things, everything in work. It's so funny because I've seen love letters to people. And you guys, when you write a love letter, you'll write your grievances, okay? And you'll start the love letter like, you never saw me the way I saw you, you didn't appreciate me, la 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 la, la 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 la, okay? Let's just say this is a grievance letter to your loved one, okay? Do you not realize that that other person is innocent? That they're your feedback loop? And that what they did was show you how you didn't see yourself as you were supposed to, how you didn't appreciate yourself as you were supposed to, how you didn't know who you fully were, and until you know who you fully are, the person that is with you cannot reciprocate because it only knows what you know. Let that sink in. Please let that sink in. Your confirmation mirror only knows what you know. So how important is it for you to know yourself, for you to know your value, for you to know your desires, for you to find what you're looking for? Is simple. Give it to yourself first. And before you write these little grievance letters, understand the letter's not a bad thing, because see, a love letter like this actually helps me define all of your blocks, not theirs. You see, I'm not going to fix them out there. I'm going to fix you inside. Because there's only one thing, one source in the moment at all times, looking at itself from different angles, and everyone has their own point of perception. We're all looking at the same thing. Universal experience happening all at once. And you all have a unique identity, what you all call an ego or whatever, that you guys use to determine what gets to go in and out of your heaven. Understand this: anything that you reject, anything that you don't accept about yourself, anything that you feel is a point of contention that kind of makes you like me. I don't like admitting I don't see my left and my right, or that I'm partially dyslexic, or that it's a bit of a learning disability, because in a way, even when I channel thoughts all over the place, and then I put it back together, right? But first I hear the bottom of it, then I hear the middle, and then I hear the top, and then I've got to rearrange everything I've heard. That's because I'm listening through the mirror and then channeling that back. My point being, you guys, that has to be something I accepted within myself and I'm okay with, and I can admit and feel exposed, but not because I'm okay with it. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's not a big deal. This is what's important, is full self-acceptance of yourself, because that's what people fall in love with. That's what suddenly people see you as beautiful. Suddenly you're the most unique person in the world because you've found that in yourself, so then your reflection has to do that. But if you're going to spend hours listening to affirmations that are like, he loves me, or you're going to listen to some kind of meditation to bring your ex back, you're swimming upriver against the current and going away from your desire. You will eventually come back to your desire, but you're going to cause yourself a lot of discomfort in the process, because while you're waiting for them to change and you're the only one that has to change so that they can change, you're going to be waiting a long time. Because the only person that needs to be healed when you see an outside reflection that doesn't match is yourself. See, in those moments when you have fear, when you have doubt, when you have these things, that's what's important, you guys. You must become the love of your lifetime. You, not the focus out there, you. So that your reflection can show up that way. It's important. It's important in everything that you do, okay? Lastly, you guys, I do coaching. You guys know that I do coaching. And many of you have inquired about what I cost, and you're worried about my cost and that kind of thing. So the reason that I haven't really voiced what I do is because I was afraid of how many people would show up, because I've seen that. I'm already overwhelmed, okay? However, I want you guys to know, okay? I do not work for free. I work on donation. It's an exchange. The exchange is because it's a demonstration of faith. It is not because I want to steal from anybody. It has nothing to do with money grubbing. Because even though what I say to you is the most valuable thing in the world, and that I help you get back into the state, okay? Even though I do that, when you all exchange energy with me, that is a demonstration of your faith in what you've done will work in our time together working. But I do work on donation. It's that simple, okay? And the reason I do this is because I never want to be that person that if you're unemployed and you're not sure where money's coming from, then let's exchange some service. Can you help me with my YouTube? Can you help me get this stuff together? Can you help me with my website? Because I'll take any and all forms of exchange, but I do want to say that I do work on exchange because I still have to survive. It's very simple, okay? And this is not in any way being mean, because, you know, I could be like those other coaches that don't give half the value and charge like what, $5,000 or I don't know, $333 for a half an hour, and you all have paid that. Yeah, I don't do that, okay? But I do work that way. So if you're looking to work with me on a regular basis, if you think there's some way that we can mutually benefit and help each other out, then I am by all means open to any forms of exchange, because the truth is, there's a lot of people that work with me. There's a lot of people that are constantly in a state of flux, and I want to help you guys kind of balance that out, because the truth is, the greatest testimony for me is you all coming back to me and telling me how everything's working in your favor, how suddenly your life makes sense, or how you go to a acupuncture appointment and you activate your God state and you don't feel any pain because you have officially activated your God state. Because that is something that happened that I'm still glowing over, because it means that when we work together, I activate your God state. It's confirmation for me. So it feels good. It feels really good. So I want you guys to know this. I want you guys to think about your mental diet. Think about affirmations. If you've been affirming for something outside of you and you're making it about the other person, you're doing it wrong. It's counterproductive. Watch your mental diet. You are better off working with me and working with me on a meditation, on some kind of universal, let's find out what the universal affirmation would be, or you're better off on that way than you are in trying really hard to create something outside of you to love you. You see, when you love you, the reflection automatically loves you. It's automatic. Right? So why am I going to work really hard on something out here when it's a shadow? It's confirmation. I need you guys to understand your thoughts are on display outside, all around you. It looks like other people. It looks like other places and things. It looks like it's not you. And yet, God cannot be divided. God cannot be divided. Meaning you cannot be divided. We're simply an illusion of one another. And it's important to understand that. It really is. Because it's you. That's the order of operations. You were so first love yourself. Put no one above God. God is a jealous God. It doesn't mean God is a jealous God. It means if you short yourself to give to the reflection first, it's going to be outbalanced, so your shadow is going to take over, and then this person has no choice but to behave like the shadow you're projecting unconsciously, because you made it about them. They're the prize, right? But do you understand how counterproductive it is? Because if you know that you are the prize, they will know you're the prize. So now who chases who? You see the difference? That power belongs to everybody. It's yours. And this is true for anything. It's not even just a relationship. But what I want you guys to know is that it's about you. How are you thinking in the moment? How can you catch your thoughts? Don't make any affirmations out there. Meditations about how to bring your ex back. Bring yourself back. They follow. You see, everything is a light and a shadow play. That's all it is. So if your light comes first, then your shadow must follow. So remembering you're the light is the most important thing you will ever do. Keeping your focus here, keeping your focus in the mirror, all of these things, these are what's needed in order to have what you're looking for. And the changes are instant. Instant. But only if your focus is here. Okay, we can't be like Narcissus, because remember, he actually died staring at the water in his reflection. And that's what people do. They die in love with their counterpart energy without realizing that it's their energy first. Okay, it's you first, and then you treat everyone the way you would treat yourself. Because if you do that, in the infinite loop that is time, you are always receiving what you put out. Okay? Because you first, then it goes back out, then this message is received. It has no choice but to be exactly as you are in the moment. This is law. What is above must be below. Okay? So then this reflection must be as you are. And now you're receiving your whole love in perfect balance without any issues. You just got to choose yourself first. Like I said, my mother raised me this way. My mother raised me this way. She raised me this way since birth. She started my education when I was 4, and she continued until I was 15. And to date, never had my heart broken. I've always been treated pretty well, and when I wasn't, I had no problem walking away. So I'm not saying that I was always treated perfectly, but what I'm saying is I had no problem walking away. And when I did walk away, they come back and they beg me. I'm not interested. Always follow the light. Know you are the light. I know that almost sounds narcissistic, but I don't want it to. It's the correct order of operations. You are to love, and that's important. If you catch yourself in the old story, if you start freaking out about the old story, I need you to remember this. You are standing there simply because you were there to fix it. You are there to correct the partial moment. So before you condemn it, before you say these people are toxic, or before you say any of that unnecessary stuff, recognize that you can see them better, and you can hold your light, and your light then dictates what they will become. As soon as you become aware, then that's where you go. And there's nothing wrong with what I'm saying to you, because it's always you in the moment. If you can see it with your eyes, these are your thoughts pretending to be other people. Okay? And if at any point in time, because there's always that one thing that you just absolutely can't identify with being, okay, totally cool. That's your judgment mirror. Okay? Your judgment mirror is sort of like the gatekeeper that has decided this is not acceptable. This is not me. Okay? I get that. Except in that moment, I need you to at least appreciate them for showing up as contrast, so you can define yourself in the moment. So the contrast needs to be there. Doesn't mean that you need to hate it. You just need to appreciate it for what it is. And bingo, they come into your vortex and you pass the test. And you have just loved yourself, even when it feels like you shouldn't have. So that's the trick. All right, when those moments, okay, because triggers, they only teach you where you're not free. They only teach you that, nothing else. Where are you not free? And if you're triggered, I promise you that is a wound that needs your attention, and you want to make sure that you heal it before you bleed on the people that have not cut you. Okay? You don't want to do that. You don't want to make your every action a projection of your wounds, because then the person who's innocent has no choice but to respond to the aggression that you're sending out. You don't want to be aggressive, not in that sense, because you realize the absurdity of that. If you cannot lose yourself, why would you treat someone in fear as if you can, and then project your fears onto them and then expect a different result? The result is always the same. They're either going to lose interest, they're going to go with someone else, they're going to treat you as second best. These are natural consequences of not placing yourself first. They always happen. It's a universal experience. Okay? It's the consequence of not loving yourself. So, if that is what you've been doing, if you've been focusing on these things outside of you that way, if all of your affirmations about getting your ex back and about making him love you, or she needs to love you, or whatever the case may be, stop this now. This is the cognitive dissonance that is causing you such huge heartaches. Bring it back home and start using the universal truths that are the intelligence behind the veil that moves everything instantly back into divine order. It works much better for you. It's a lot less effort, and you'd be pleasantly surprised if you allow yourself to use your vessel this way, heart, mind, speech, as one thing. You create instantly. Heart, mind, speech, one thing. Instant creation. This is automatically how it works, okay? However, said heart, mind, speech as one, okay? This doesn't mean I really want something and I expect the opposite. You see, the heart is here, the mind is here. You do not get what you want, you get what you expect. And then you work really hard to try and get what you want, never addressing what you expect. Counterproductive. All right? So again, heart, mind, one, speech, instant. But get real clear about what you expect. Get real clear about what you're thinking. And if you need help interpreting the mirror, I'm here for you. It's what I do. It's what I do. But it's not that hard to interpret your thoughts being fed back to you. Okay? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm designed for this because I see things backwards. I don't know. But I can bring it back to source and own it. So that's what I want you guys to think about. Okay? No more outside affirmations. No more working on getting your ex back meditations. No. If anything, if you want to get your ex back, if that's the case, you need to get you back. You need to start focusing on what you're looking for, on being loving to yourself. You need to attach to this frequency so that your heart can then become the dominant vibration. But your heart must tell the mind what to do. I'm sorry, but your mind, as beautiful and as brilliant as it is too analytical sometimes and gets in the way. Okay? This is true of every single human being on earth. Your mind is supposed to serve your heart. Your heart knows ways that the mind does not understand. Why? Because the heart does not exist in time. The heart exists in eternal time, therefore has access to all things at once. Whereas in the mind can only understand things as they have experienced it in the past. It cannot think of things that have not occurred yet, right? If it's not relative to their experience. Then I've said this before. If I asked you guys to tell me about what 600 years in the future look like, most of you, not all of you, because some of you can tell me, right? Most of you cannot tell me. You cannot conceive this with your mind, okay? But if I asked you to get real quiet and ask your heart what a 600 years in the future looks like, the images will start to feed up. And you'll be able to give me some conception of what you think that is. That's how intelligent your heart is. But your heart's intelligence doesn't work like your mind at all. Your mind is its servant. And that's a humbling thing for people that are extremely intelligent. You know, for these people that are really, really, really smart, it's hard not to be logical. But your heart isn't logical, is it? It's not. Right? So I want you guys to strengthen your heart and your mind connection. I want you to really work on not being double-minded. I want you to get real clear and comfortable with your feedback loop and what your feedback loop is saying, because it represents your thoughts you don't know you're thinking in the moment. And so if you can learn to look at it objectively without any biases, it will help you redefine it if you don't like what you're hearing. Or it will help you see it in a better light so that you can experience the better thing. But catching yourself in that moment before you go down the road of the old story is everything. It's everything. I love you guys. I hope this is helping. I really hope this is helping. Okay? I am going to resume my regular schedule tomorrow. It would have been my son's 25th birthday. And although I am not sad, although he visited me last night, although I went and hung out with him 600 years in the future, there's a part of me that didn't want to come home, because that is my home, and I love being in his presence, and 25 years is a long time that I missed out on here. So I just need a little time, and I'm fine. I'm not sad in the way that you guys think. It's more like nostalgia for me. I am at peace. I'm so happy with where he is in life and who he became and everything that he is now. I'm the proudest mother that you can ever imagine. But there's a human side to me that misses this, because before he died, I planned my whole life around him. He was a special needs child, and that part of me, I guess, is grieving a little bit. It happens every time I go visit. So I apologize for kind of being a little bit out of commission tonight. But I love you guys, and I so appreciate all of your support. And Sunday is my normal busy night, so I'll resume everything, but today I just need a little time. And I thank you guys for just being here and for loving me and just for being everything that I am. I don't have words to even thank you all for how much you mean to me. Seriously. And think about what I said. Think about it. Be really centered in you and what you're thinking. This is what's creating your world outside. So if you're suffering, the only person doing it is you. It's about being non-dual. Make peace with these things so that you can understand the feedback loop. And no more outside affirmations, you guys. Stop making things about them. I mean, you can do it. It's the 3D way, but it's not helpful. It's really not. Okay? It really does help when you own that it's your reflection, because as soon as you own that it's your reflection, you know that it's you. Now you have, I don't want to say control, but you're no longer waiting on someone to appear, because you're the only one that has to change so that the universal reflection can change. But you have to walk your talk, and you have to believe what I'm saying, and then you have to step into it, and you have to actually live this way. I understand many of you understand Neville, you understand the law, you understand so many things conceptually, and then when it comes to applying it, we fall short because we expect one thing, we understand things one way, and then we don't actually follow through with an action to match. All right? So think about that. And I love you, and I'll be back on soon, okay? And other than that, I have a great night, you guys. I'll be back tomorrow, I promise. I love you. Bye-bye.